and welcome to BookTrib's 15 Minutes with, a Merrill Media production. Today we are very excited to welcome #1 New York Times bestselling author Colleen Hoover. Colleen's written some of the most influential and emotionally affecting new adult and YA contemporary romances ever. You will sob, you'll laugh, you'll cry, speak from personal experience. It all started with Slammed and Point of Retreat. Most of you also know This Girl, Hopeless, Finding Cinderella, Confess. I could go on forever, but we're so happy to have her and talk about some of these things. Thank you so much for joining us, Colleen.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So I want to dive right in because I want to kind of start in the middle because you've got big news. You've released Confess for digital streaming, which is so exciting, and I can't tell you how good it is. I'd like to think most of your fans know about this, but for those who have missed it or missed the announcement, can you talk a little bit about Go90 and what's going on with Confess?
Yeah, Go90 is an app that you can download on your phone, your tablet. You can go to the website online on your computer. It's really cool in that there's no subscription fee, so it's free for everyone. The shows are free. And what a lot of people don't know is that if you have Verizon as your carrier, they don't even use your data when you watch a lot of their shows. Yeah, so it's a really cool thing. It's just recently been getting off the ground, and they've done a wonderful job with Confess, and I'm excited about it.
It is so good. It's so good. I've watched all 7 episodes. It's amazing. Can you talk a little bit about the creation on your end of it all? How involved were you in the writing process, from like the story of the book to the script and ultimately what made it to a digital version?
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, when an author signs over their rights, they don't usually get a lot of artistic control. And that was the same with this. I just assumed that I was signing over my rights and that they would take it from there, but it wasn't the case at all. They've been very interactive with me. They've respected my opinion on everything. It was almost as if they wanted me to be happy, or they wouldn't be happy. Like, the producers have just been wonderful. The director, Alyssa Down, also wrote all the scripts for it, and they sent me those and welcomed my feedback. And same with the casting. I was able to give them my opinions on that, and I'm extremely happy with who they chose. I thought that they did just an excellent job. So they've really included me in every step along the way, and they didn't have to. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. That's amazing. What about on your end? How was figuring out, because we all know, adaptations are difficult. There's so much in books that aren't included or don't get included. How did you go about figuring out what would be in and what may not make it in? What was that process like?
Well, when I got the scripts, it had been 2 years since the book released, and I thought about going in and reading the book. But then I knew that if I did that there would be a lot of scenes that I would be like, well, add this and make this different. And I realized, that TV is a completely different ballgame than a novel, especially when you're taking a novel with one beginning, middle, and end and turning it into a 7-episode series with 7 beginnings and middles and ends. So the fact was it was going to have to change. And so I was very open. I was very receptive to that, as long as they kept the essence of the story and the characters, and they did that. And I was really happy with that. The only thing that I think I was adamant about was that the part where she makes fun of his initials wasn't in the original script. And so I came back and I was like, the readers are going to be really upset. This is a huge part of this book. Like, it's how I sign all the books, and they immediately added it in, no problem. So, it was just one of those things where I kind of felt like I had to be a voice for the readers for certain things that I knew they were passionate about.
Absolutely. And that absolutely came through. It was so clear that it was done so that the reader would also enjoy this version, because it played out so well. What was yours and Katie and Ryan's relationship like? Did you get to talk to them at all through filming, or?
Yeah, I actually didn't even go on set until they had been filming for a couple of weeks. So they all had, their dynamic, and everyone knew each other. So when I walked on set, I was kind of I felt like the odd man out because I'd never, one, been on a film set before, and two, I hadn't even met the producer that bought the rights and that I, developed this phone relationship with. So, but immediately when I got there, like, they just made me feel so welcome. It was just a wonderful experience. And Katie and Ryan, like, I would like to say, with the talent, as talented as they are and as good looking as they are, you kind of think, oh, they can't be that perfect in real life. They are. They're so sweet, so gracious, and I can't even believe the positive experience it was. Overall, everyone, I have nothing negative to say about it.
That's amazing. And you even got your own little cameo in there, which was awesome.
I tried to get them not to make me do that. I am not good for TV. But, they knew that the readers would enjoy it, and they begged me to do it. And I was like, I will do it, but if it's terrible, if it makes it stand out, then we're cutting it. And so I did it, and it was fun. I had no idea what I was doing, and it was actually during the art gallery scene where there were about 50 extras there, and they had no idea who I was. They thought I was just another actor that had gotten a role. And so, I messed up so much. I didn't know what a mark was, and they were like, you missed your mark, cut. Just over and over, it seemed like I was messing up. And then when it was all over, then they told everyone, like, oh, she wrote the book. And they were all, it was like a collective, oh, that's why she was so terrible.
We get it now. Well, you would never know unless you tell this story. So it came off wonderful. So it's streaming right now. All 7 episodes are there. Feedback is insanely positive. And it really is it's done so well. So that being said, I have to ask, it says season 1 in the description. Does that mean there's possibility for more, or is this all we're getting?
I only wrote 1 book, and they encompass the entire story in the first season. So I honestly have no idea. If they were to take it into a second season, it would just probably have to be something that they write based on the characters. I wouldn't have anything to do with it. But I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think it would be fun to sit down and watch the lives of these characters I created continue. Yeah. And for me not to know what's going to happen. So I'm not opposed to it.
That's amazing. Well, I don't think any of your readers are, and the fans, and it's so well done. Transitioning a little bit, as most know, your tagline is books that will destroy you and put you back together, which could not be more accurate for all of your books. I read Slammed and Point of Retreat years ago, and I'll just kind of never forget that journey that those 2 books took me on. How for you did that story develop? Was that something that just came to you and you had to write it down? Was it a nagging storyline you couldn't let go of? How did you start writing it?
It's kind of an interesting story. I literally sat down and wrote the first sentence and had no idea where it was going. I knew that I wanted to write about a slam poet. That was the only part of that book that I had planned out. But I had so much fun creating it, and it was almost like I was watching a movie, like I had no idea what Will's occupation was going to be until he was in the hallway. Oh my gosh. And you found out. So it was like, I was kind of just as shocked as anyone. That was a really fun experience. I didn't know that anyone was going to read it. There was absolutely zero pressure. I was just writing it for the fun of it. And, sure. It just turned out to have a really big impact on my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And your readers. Both books were extremely impactful. And since then, you've just you've continued to train. You released smash after smash, from Never Never, Maybe Someday, November 9, Ugly Love. There's just so many. You did take a small departure, though, with Too Late. Can you talk a little bit about that story and what inspired it or sent you into that side of storytelling?
Not a lot of people know this, but I actually started writing Too Late in the middle of Hopeless, which was very early on in my career. I got stuck with Hopeless and didn't have the twist quite figured out yet, and so I set that book aside and started writing this ridiculous book, with these ridiculous over-the-top characters, and I had no intentions of putting it out there. And I wrote 5 chapters of that while I was, trying to figure out the plot line for Hopeless. And once I figured that out, I put it aside for, a couple of years and never even looked at it. And I found it in one of my old files one day. And so I posted the first few chapters onto Wattpad and be like, hey, this was a book I started a few years ago. I just thought y'all would get a kick out of reading it. And the feedback was just insane. And so I would every now and then when I had time go in and add another chapter. And it eventually turned into a really long book that I had written for free online, stayed on Wattpad for about a year, and then I moved it over to Amazon so that people could get the paperback.
Amazing. What else for 2017 for you? What else do you have in store? I know your website you have Without Merit as coming soon. Is that something you can talk about, or what else can you tell us about new projects?
I'm actually still working on Without Merit. I turned that one in, and I'm in rewrites right now. If anything, it's more along the lines of Slammed. It's kind of more on the younger side of NA. The main character is 17.
Okay.
I would dare call it YA. I think it's going to be appropriate for most ages. I just needed something after writing It Ends With Us. That was such a heavy book that I kind of wanted to, do something a little different, write something fun. And, but I've already gotten a good portion of the next book that I can't announce yet, but it's going to be a follow-up to a book I've done in the past. So I'm excited to announce that one.
Well, that sounds fun.
When we're going to announce it.
So quickly, too, I want to talk about, you just mentioned on your Facebook that Bookworm Box spots have opened up, which doesn't happen all the time. Can you talk a little bit kind of about what Bookworm Box is for those who maybe are just hearing about it or just watching this?
Yeah, absolutely. Bookworm Box is a subscription book service that we send out every month. It has 2 signed novels in it. You don't know what you're getting. It's usually novels in the romance genre, but all of the profits go to charity. We've started it 2 years ago, and we've donated almost $1 million to various charities since then. We have volunteers that come once a month and pack up. We probably ship out a little over 2,000 boxes a month, and it's just been a phenomenal thing. I didn't think it was going to take off like it did. We thought we'd be sending out 50 boxes a month, and here we had to cap it at 2,000 because it's all we can handle. And it's just been great. It's it's my baby.
And you're working with other authors on it, right?
Yeah, we actually every month we do use 2 to 3 different authors, and so those we usually purchase from like the author themselves at cost and have them sign it, or we purchase the books from the publisher, and then the author agrees to sign all of the books. Like sometimes they sign upwards of 1,300 copies of books for the month. But we also have a bookstore, the Bookworm Box, where we pack everything. We have a physical bookstore, and all of the books in the store are signed and donated by authors. So it's we wouldn't be able to do it without all the support we get from the indie community and the author community, and we're very grateful for that.
Absolutely. We have a lot of kind of aspiring authors who are just starting out that like to hear from you guys, you've made it, you've done it, and you've made the journey. Do you have any kind of even if it's one small piece of advice that you would tell to anyone just starting out or trying to get off the ground?
Yeah, just from my career and the careers of my friends and what I've seen along the way, I think that when you get into it, when you first start writing your first book, never compare yourself. Never compare yourselves to other authors. Never try to write what's selling, what the popular genre is. It changes so much, and there's nothing predictable about this industry, that if you start getting into more of the business side of it and obsessing over that, it takes away the fun of the writing. And so I just think it's really important to write the books that you want to write from your heart, not what you think everyone wants to read, not what you think is popular. And, if you're happy with what you put out, then what happens after that, it doesn't matter. It's just icing on the cake.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Well, unfortunately, I don't want to say this, but we have come to the end of our chat here. So I can't thank you enough for joining us. This has just been an honor to hear you talk about your stories, and thank you for your words. They're so wonderful. And to everyone who hasn't done it yet, you need to go to go90.com and check out Confess, because it is streaming now and it is absolutely excellent. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Absolutely. Thank you, Colleen. And thanks everyone for watching. Bye.
Bye.